Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, I'm what you need. You're watching my channel. I hope you guys are having a good day. If you like the content on this video, don't forget you can like, share, subscribe. You can comment as well as you can donate via Western Union or MoneyGram. We're going to talk a little bit about Gary Russell Jr. versus Devin Haney, which is a hot topic now. And thanks to the LDBC and all of the social media platforms, especially YouTube that they're using right now, this fight has been promoted by On the Ropes Radio, Fight Hype, IKEY Sports TV, any one of the what we call new media that's out there has been talking about this fight. And negotiations are afoot to have this fight happen. It looks like it is tending towards that direction of happening. Now, what's so significant about this, without me having to do any in-fight breakdowns or anything, is that it's significant in the sense that we don't usually see a lot of hype for two fighters who are black fighters and two fighters who can actually make their own fights happen. So even what's interesting about this is Devin Haney decided to engage Gary Russell Jr., okay? And because he engaged Gary Russell Jr., when Gary Russell Jr. is calling out everybody, we're getting this hype that's starting to build up between the two fighters. I was looking at this a really extremely interesting interview between Mickey Bay and what they call Batman, which is Gary Russell Jr.'s older brother. And it was great. It was great stuff. I was getting excited when I was listening to how Gary Russell Jr. and how his team might see Devin Haney as a possible opponent. And it's just very exciting for me. You already know my pick. It'll be Devin Haney to win that fight. Much love and shout out to Gary Russell Jr., but I personally believe Devin Haney would win. Of course, Gary Russell Jr. has the experience and he's been perfecting his craft, even though he doesn't have really the level of opposition to support his time so long. Yeah, I think he's the longest reigning champion in boxing. And the other interesting thing is you're talking about a guy jumping up from featherweight to lightweight, the way how it used to be done back in the day. So that's very interesting and intriguing to me as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing what will happen when this matchup happens. So this is a good fight. I'm interested in it. I want to see what happens. Floyd Mayweather even threw his comments in there about beating Gary Russell Jr.'s ass, to Devin Haney. Listen, man, Gary Russell Jr. can handle his stories. He's a very, very good fighter. He dropped Vasily Lomachenko, was never counted, but he dropped Vasily Lomachenko. Of course, the fight was a close fight as well. Split decision win by Vasily Lomachenko over Gary Russell Jr. But I must say, I'm looking forward to this fight. If it does happen, there's a lot of hype behind it. People in the DMV area, people in Oakwood, it would be huge. It'd be huge for the DMV. It'd be huge for Oakwood. So, hey, more power to you guys. And especially if new media could make this happen, that would be great. So we'll see what happens with that. And DAZN's on board. Eddie Hearn's on board. Sounds good, man. I hope the fight happens. With respect to Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez, I've been talking about this fight for a little bit. Again, there's some buzz behind it. It's a good fight. Teofimo Lopez has said some statements that I didn't particularly agree with, but nonetheless, I'm still riding with my boy Teofimo Lopez in 5, ladies and gentlemen. I know that sounds crazy, but I think in 5, he can get him. But of course, he has to know what he's doing in there. He needs to understand what a southpaw does. He needs to understand the approaches of a southpaw. If he does not actually have those things down pat and doesn't understand them very well, he's really stepping into something he shouldn't step into. But if he does, it should be a really good fight. By the way, I also have a video that I put out, the video before this one, that has to do with the lead hand. I think you guys should check it out. It will give you a good idea that you don't have to depend on your jab for every single thing in the fight. In fact, you can depend on, if you're an orthodox fighter, you can right hand leads. And the video gives you a lot more detail about Roy Jones Jr., what made him so exceptional, Floyd Mayweather, what made him so exceptional, even Vasily Lomachenko, what makes him so exceptional, and Manny Pacquiao, what makes him so exceptional. And it has to do with how they were able to use the lead hand different ways. So a lead hand, let me just clarify something. There's so much to the lead hand thing, but I just want to kind of just give you guys the nuts and bolts details. So the lead hand doesn't necessarily have to be your jabbing hand or the hand that's in front of you. You can make your lead hand your backhand, right? But it's how you position your body in space that will allow for that to happen. Because The whole point behind your lead hand being your jabbing hand is because it's closer to your opponent. So it's actually easy to throw a jab, and it's never telegraphed. You don't have to take your jab and carry it all, cock it all the way back here and then throw it, right? When you cock back the jab and you throw the jab, you know, you don't have to do that. You can just pop it right there. Boom, right? So it's kind of untelegraphed. So think about that when you think about your power hand and how you can get your power hand to behave like a jab. And in so doing, that's the way how actually you can get to understand what the lead hand can be. It doesn't have to be only the hand that's in front of you or your jabbing hand. And your power hand can actually be your lead hand. It can do various things, just like a jab, or even more. So let's get to another point that I wanted to talk to you guys about, but I just wanted to remind you guys of the video. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about here is Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia, man, he's in training camp again, which means he's either close to negotiations and nailing negotiations against some sort of southpaw. Now, you guys go ahead and try and guess who the southpaw is. He already gave the answers in Eddie Sekbak's interview, but it looks like he's going to be facing a southpaw. Who? That's up to you guys to guess. Guess it in the comment section below, but you can find the answer in Eddie Sekbak's video, I think. All right, people. That's it. I'm what you need. I hope you guys have a good day. Peace.